What? Turn page? Our new person. This is fine. All right. Use the water that way. We also got everything has our, all right. This is the regularly, this is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Warren Planning Board, 7 o'clock, Monday, October 25th, 2021. As noted in the agenda, any member of the public wishing to submit written comments must do so by 4 p.m. on 10/25 by emailing them to the town planner. And we did receive 2 comments about matters pending.
Yeah, one related to the Drysdale Street application and one related to the 611 Metacom Avenue. And those will be entered as exhibits.
We do have everyone in attendance, so we have a quorum. There is nothing for the Waterfront Overlay District Development Plan Review. We are going to open public hearings for the first item on the agenda, which is minor subdivision and dimensional variances, Article 13, Section 32-77 Warren Zoning Ordinance, AP 13A, Lot 17, 4 Drysdale Street, owner applicant Christopher Bianco. We are opening the public hearing for the dimensional variances discussion only at this point. So the first matter that we will take up is the dimensional variances. So there's a need to switch those two, and the public hearing is only for the dimensional variances. And I see that Attorney Bruce Cox is here representing the applicant. That's okay. Attorney Cox, is this one that you've shown us? What is the frontage on this lot of the picture? Right, but what I'm saying is, what you showed us is a picture of what this would look like. This one has 6,400 square foot frontage, the one you're proposing. The front, yes. So what is the lot size of this one that you just showed us? Yeah, so that's within the, um, however, what you're asking for is a 6,400 square foot lot and comparing this to your proposal. Okay. Mr. Woolley, is this the time where we would hear the piece that was submitted by Mr. Fairchild?
Well, I mean, it's introduced.
The rest of the board did receive that, so I'm assuming everybody had the chance to look at it.
Is duplex permitted in this zone? I mean, that's what he's proposing as an alternative. It would be in his existing house to be a duplex. It would be a duplex. It would be a separate living unit,
Domicile.
would it not? Well, there you go. The question I have is that that's a duplex in my. Is that permitted in the zone?
I mean, one of the concerns here obviously is to take a parcel of land that complies with the existing zoning and create two non-conforming lots, which would be against good planning in a case and against the sense of what zoning is about. You know, unfortunately, prior to our time, many decisions were made which were not sensible in terms of size of lots. Thus this, the, that would still require a variance. Right. Well, and again, you know, it doesn't, the sticking point here, you know, when almost immediately is 6,400 square feet. I mean, that does not fit with the character of the neighborhood. The neighborhood, as you've said, is 9,600. It may be 100 feet under the desired, but we had nothing to do with that. But moving forward, when we look at zoning, we have to say, would we create two non-conforming lots out of one conforming lot? I mean, it's a high hurdle for this board, from my standpoint, to say we're going to create two non-conforming lots in order to build a bigger house or two houses on a lot, which may or may not happen. I mean, I'm assuming that goes through the zoning board, the special use permit.
Yes, is this project served by municipal sewer or is it?
Other questions, concerns from members of the planning board?
So my thought is that the new lot is only 64% of the available, of the required lot. And I sort of agree with the chairman that we shouldn't be constructing lots that are that far off of the standards that are called for in the zoning ordinance. And I'm not sure that your argument that if you had to expand the existing house, it would be ungainly. I'm not sure I get that. You know, it's something in the back. It won't front on Drysdale Street, and it won't reach Jefferson. It's just if you can get permission to do it, it's less disruptive than the plan that you proposed, I think. And I don't understand ungainly and unattractive. That's a value judgment.
I'm inclined to agree with you as well. I think that if you look at the dwellings in the immediate area, I mean, almost everything in that area is inconsistent with the existing zoning and almost inconsistent with anything near it. Like, I mean, almost every property is unique and to itself, and it would be I think it would be more awkward if you were to look at the overall site plan of everything to have one long sort of shotgun house that extends this long parcel, and it's a duplex that would likely have access on from two different streets. It would be unique and different than anything, and probably less conforming to what the intent of the zoning was, in my opinion. I think if there's an area that warrants, you know, taking a broader understanding of what the general make of the community is when you're looking at these, you know, how to interpret a zoning, I think that this area would, because it clearly doesn't look like this was, you know, strategically planned in, you know, as a development with the auto parts. And it's like a multi-use, I mean, a multi-housing building, and a 3,500 square foot parcel, and then two larger parcels with pools. And it just seems everything's a little bit different, sort of developed over time. My thoughts.
Anyone else? Sure.
Also okay with it if it is possible to set it back a bit, as you suggested at the start of the presentation. That's right. To accommodate some of the. Sometimes not.
Does Mr. Fairchild have 2018, 2010, 2018, I'm assuming. Yeah, I'm looking at what you. So, to be clear, in your mind, in terms of the planning board members who spoke in favor of it, that would supersede our responsibility to maintain the zoning requirements. I mean, we are creating, in essence, two non-conforming lots. We're not keeping one that's conforming, we're creating two non-conforming lots in order to accommodate something that is not a hardship necessarily. We're talking about, it would be nice to have my son living in close proximity to me. But our job here is to follow what is established as the zoning rules of the town. I'm not, I don't want to come across too harshly here, but I just want to be sure that you understand in doing something like that, we are stepping outside what our charge is.
Right, but what I'm saying is, I don't think that is consistent. This way, but I think ever sell right down to in the home. Right, right here.
Yeah, well, that's- And this has been, as I say, you've got the list of all of the neighbors that you've alerted to this. Yeah, and the only, right, and the only issue, the only response we got was from Mr. Fairchild, who's, have you talked with him at all? Or- Yeah, I mean, that was the strength of his argument, was the solar panels. Yeah. And frankly, you know, the fact that he's not a 32 square foot, 32,000 square foot.
Well, also, he's, you know, I mean, and we have an email, but we don't have any photographs or anyone else here to give any further description. Except for what is on the panels look like, how the situation-
Yeah, no,
No, they're
I
on,
take his concern
actually on the
to heart.
website. I mean, you can sort of see them.
well, you know, again, my significant reservation is the idea that, you know, I've been in this town for 30 years and there's been a lot of crap done in this town as a result of boards bending over for no good reason other than, well, why not? I gotta get home. And we've tried to establish as close an adherence to the letter of the laws we have. That said, it doesn't mean that we don't have discretion. So, you know,
So my thought on that is that I think that, you know, if you look at the various properties around that, it's, I don't know the exact history, but my guess is that these things were constructed prior to the zoning actually be imposed upon them. So like many situations, you have zonings that are overlaid over existing developments that don't necessarily specifically fit everything. And so it is, I think, our responsibility to try to evaluate whether or not it, you know, I want to pursue the letter of the law whereas practically possible, but I wouldn't want to rigidly pursue something where the likelihood of this zoning existing because of this neighborhood is not realistic. This zoning existed because that was the most similar zoning of the zonings that were going to be available to overlay. And so they didn't draw out a specific zoning that would reflect this. And so we're trying to, you know, it is back, like you were saying, there's the discretion and judgment and determining whether or not, you know, the varying opinions on the two dwellings as opposed to one long shotgun dwelling best suits this particular.
well, again, you know, it's important to recognize that the shotgun dwelling monstrosity, however we're referring to this, is not a sure thing. It's not like, if we don't get this, we'll get that. That's not a guarantee, correct?
Yeah, I can't predict.
Right. Just for the record, that's important to understand. And the other is that those 4 points that Bob mentioned, you know, we need to at least address those. Is there a significant hardship here?
So one question is, where's the neighborhood? And the neighborhood includes a lot of small lots, but this particular neighborhood is mostly 9,600 feet. And suddenly there's one that's 2/3 of that.
I think there is, there's not a difference.
No, that's okay. I mean, I think frankly, the fact that they haven't, okay, because I mean, they haven't, my sense was when people don't show up, they're approving it. You know, I mean, I'm not looking at that as, you know, I don't believe you. I mean, that makes, and that speaks to your application. Is there anyone from the public here? Is there anyone on the side? Um, given all the circumstances, this does seem, I started off thinking, like, no way, because it doesn't need it, but there are so many mitigating factors here that it does seem to me. Looking at the size of this neighborhood, it would be a whole lot better to have a second house. Colleague said then to create a large duplex, which is, I do think there's probably a very good possibility that that would pass. I'd ask for a vote to and that fourth element really is in relation to the first three. So, all right, would someone like to make that motion? Yeah, right, as we established.
It's the possible squad votes, this conversation that, so in terms of actual. One thing stated, another something else. I just want to. Actuality.
And is that sufficient? Then, okay, great. All right, so we have a motion. Do I have a second? Second, Jim. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
All right. The dimensional variance, and now we have to take up the minor subdivision element.
I think the Cox is up to
Everybody, yeah. Right. So subject to, first we close the public hearing officially. So we're, have a motion to close the public hearing on the dimensional variance. Jim, second. Tyler, all in favor? Aye. Now this is not a public hearing for the minor subdivisions. And what we've seen is the minor subdivision with the caveat that the changes agreed upon by the applicant and Mr. Cox would be submitted to Mr. Rowley prior to this. A motion. Yeah, so you can suck up to me. By God, I can't be bought. All right, well, a vote to approve the minor subdivision. Andrea, second. This minor subdivision meets all those elements. So Andrea has made the motion. Jim has seconded it. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? And there you go. Good luck. This is the, we're going to reopen the public hearing. Vote to reopen the public hearing. A motion, Jim, the second. Anyone? Tyler? All those in favor of opening this public hearing, reopening? Aye. Those opposed? This is the B Major Land Development Master Plan Approval, AP 23, lots 118, 119, 120, 0 to 6 Commercial Way, owner applicant, the Pearson Complex LLC. As a reminder, we went through an earlier review of this plan. The applicant brought it to us to take a look at, and we were able to comment on the plan prior to it coming into a more formal hearing. This is the formal hearing that followed up that meeting, which went very well when we were here. And so now we're no longer just looking at this as a matter of theory. This is the reality. So take it away.
Or maybe.
Yeah, you can actually just take it right out of here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Neil Ingrani, Narragansett Engineering. Mr. King, the owner, is with us, as well as Eric, professional engineer from my office. And we submitted an updated.
Yeah, really, somebody's gonna need to get a rap on the knuckles with the ruler. Yeah, one for every two people. Did you, has the, fire chief seen this? Right. Okay. No, that hot box, the backflow preventer services all three of those buildings. So the 2-inch line is going into the box and then extending out to the other buildings from the third. Okay. What does that do with the 2-inch line you said is coming in? Is that line above ground as well, or? So it'll go up into it. So, yeah, because I would imagine in extremely cold temperatures, you could run into a problem without.
That's why it's outside, that's what I have a house. really, yeah.
That's the hot box.
Before, like, part of them coming up and they're out.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Questions, comments? We talked about that at the initial one. Great. Thank you. Questions, comments? Very nice job in terms of, addressing. It was already good, Um, The master plan approval would have to be dependent upon the permits and all other government permits. Exactly. There are some things that, as you stated in the beginning of your presentation, that we're not allowing. So, I mean, it seems to be more like the excluded actions rather than the included. So there would be a list of those things established for the zoning board. That would be part of our advisory opinion to the zoning board. Okay, great. No, anyone? Get it out of the park. This is, so it would be a master plan approval. Now, based on, our meeting the conditions of the planning board is, does that need to be read in as well? Yeah.
This is master plan approval.
Right. And then we've got preliminary and final after that. So,
So one quick question, you're going to provide a landscaping plan as part of,
is there anyone from the public who has anything to add, comment? No?
I'll move we close the public hearing.
Okay, second? Tyler, all in favor of closing the public hearing? It's unanimous. And now a motion to approve the master plan conditionally with the recommendation to the zoning board regarding uses.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Go to town.
That's easy.
Yeah. Okay. Top of your game. All right. Thank you. We'll need to reopen this as a public meeting yet again. Motion, Tim, motion to open this as a public meeting again, public hearing, sorry. Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, it's a public hearing. Jim made the motion, and
Aye.
Mike, sorry. Second. All right. Yeah, and don't hesitate to interrupt if you need it for sure. Major land development master plan approval, AP 15B, lot 338A, 611 Metacom Avenue, owner GCM Warren, LLC, applicant, AutoZone Parts, Inc. We had this applicant come before us, provide an initial plan for the AutoZone building. And there were a number of concerns raised at that meeting. This is now similar to what we just went through with the last applicant for commercial way. We are now in master plan approval process. Following that would be preliminary and final. Master plan development at this point, we do not have, I don't think, an actual design plan. I know there was a variance that is being requested for parking. Okay, and take it away.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Like, see this. actually for. That might be something that the framework might need to. Maybe tonight is what's concerned.
Dr., could you summarize the variances that are needed here, just looking? How many spots?
Basically, it's.
The sign size?
Make recommendations.
Your client owns, do they own A1 self-storage, that building as well? So, but the owner of the site, not your applicant. Would-
So it's just a sentence.
And as is the self-storage as well?
Yeah, Georgetown, and that's just whatever that means. CBS site.
And the A1 self-storage is a separate.
So all of these buildings are leased.
All right. Hear from the engineers. Thank you, Attorney Cox.
Not talking about parking. Key recently that stormwater
You're working with AutoZone, so as opposed to the owners. Okay. Right. Okay. You say the monitoring sites indicated some contamination of what?
That's where we ended it, and they since changed. It's no problem.
Yeah, I mean, that's a significant change. And it looks like, it's either a 60s racing jacket to, a more modern looking. uh, Anyway, but that's a significant change, particularly for a company that is operating on branding. Know how important that is to a company. At the same time, I think there's an economic value to making a building look more in tune with a more friendly environment. I think we're seeing that in some of the McDonald's now. And some more of the chains are moving in that direction, away from the golden arches and the kind of garish presentation, street presentation. Um, you know, my sense is that could be a good business move as well. People would appreciate it more. It's small, 1 inch for building that. But
topic side, but I just want to- I want to know what kind of office I- But it's not going from- Right, but I mean, I only bring it up because the applicant that's involved here. They had to be in the department. And I don't want us to dismiss that.
The self-storage sign is directly below the auto zone. Where, but that, I can see the short self-storage. Right, yeah. But where's the entrance? The entrance to the self-storage? It's on the other side.
You missed it. He goes up.
245, well, 333.
But the sign says you just passed it. Yeah. Close to the use.
That's where it was right.
But
Okay.
the access. is-
But that's through CBS. Yeah, I know.
Okay, the entrance to the new property shows, I think, people who are coming south on Metacom are going to go in there and then take a left to get to CVS. But there's no other entrance shown to CVS. Not there,
Yeah.
but I'm talking coming,
People can go in either entrance.
Sure.
but now the entrance is further south than that, essentially. Yeah, right there. I know there's there, but there's one here.
Oh, there's that, yeah.
There's one that's essentially on the border. Here.
No.
No, I know there's one there,
There's one
but
there,
there's,
it's the same location.
so this is, you don't need a new,
I think we're widening it.
so
Same
this is,
curb cut.
this is the same entrance that people now use to get into CVS.
Like there, I go there for.
That's my point. That's exactly my point. There's one that goes into the therapy place.
Right.
And then there's another one that goes into CVS.
The therapy place is now the other.
Another one.
I'll drive by and take a look.
Therapy place is gonna be ordered. That's correct.
I know that. Okay, thank you.
Two curb cuts. All right, anything else?
So there's no possibility that, given your conversation with AutoZone, that they would do anything other than a flat roof building here.
Yes.
Any other questions, comments, concerns?
I think it's a much improved plan and appreciate the adaptations, bringing more in line with the sort of, future area. Also take note of the potential traffic concerns, which are really going on the line. As they consider.
I mean, we can take it.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I understand. Utilities need to be.
Something that looks like a pitch roof.
Sort of like a western town. They all got to be side of it.
Might be something.
Yeah, I mean, we're in master plan now. We're going to re-examine this much more closely in terms of landscaping, in terms of holding to the, what we've got so far, and there could be yet further enhancements made. So we've got two more.
Putting them being at the next.
Oh, good. Right.
Just for my own clarity, you're representing AutoZone. Does AutoZone lease the building, the owner, they own the improvement. I understand that they lease. So if we have issues, the building itself, go to AutoZone. Not the theater.
Okay, well, I think what we're looking at is the conditional, RIPD's, the government approvals, DOT. At preliminary, so it's a conditional master plan approval. There's no, yeah. And further, Ben? Anyone out there? Okay, motion to close the public meeting. Matt? And Jim? All in favor? Aye. Now, motion to approve the master plan conditionally upon all of the approvals necessary. Motion? I'll make it. And second. All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? All right. Now, democracy in action. Thank you. Are you here for the next one, Arthur? All right. We are approving the minutes, 9/27/21. They were all sent out. Were those sent out? Yeah. No, they were sent out earlier by Robin, I believe, right? Yeah, drafted planning board minutes, Wednesday, 10/20. Wondering if it went out to everybody though. Just a sec here. Yeah, no, it just went out to Jim Patterson and yeah, I see what happened. I see what happened here. Yeah. Yeah, this is that makes perfect sense to me. So why don't we hold on approval of the minutes because I prefer not to keep this here too long. Yeah, so it's pretty much Jim's fault if you want to complain. I just, vice chair. Actually, no, I didn't bother looking at all of the coverage because that's how we've done it in the past. Yeah. Yeah, well, okay. So we will, could I have a motion to carry over approval of the minutes to the next meeting? Matt, second. All right. Ashley, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? So we have under old business, major land development. This was initially intended to be a preliminary final approval combined. Upon reflection, we realized that we should not have this combined for this particular meeting. The reason being that there were some concerns raised.
I don't know, the applicant has not received.
Yeah,
I don't think you can go and find. Subject to that.
right. We'd hope, and then there was this last minute red flag raised. So as a consequence, the agenda, what we're looking at now is preliminary approval, subject to the DOT review, which would require the applicant to come back another time. I mean, that's not unusual. What we're hoping to do is to facilitate a more streamlined process, and we can't do that.
So we would not honor the request of Bristol that they do a traffic study?
We will, and that can be final approval, but I don't take lightly the idea that the planning department in Bristol can send an email 5 hours before our meeting and ask us to hold the, close the door to an applicant who is.
And again, as I mentioned previously, 18 units here.
And
Traffic.
AutoZone could conceivably generate more traffic than an 18 unit. Right.
Is the Dunkin' Donuts in Bristol? They're both in Warren. Both on the east side and west side.
Bristol has a, I mean, they have a legitimate concern, but, that this, Bob had alerted Bristol to this weeks ago, months ago. So,
Create way more traffic than makes residential. So
Right.
Another Dunkin' Donuts.
Or another Dunkin' Donuts.
yeah, well, I'll tell you,
Whatever, that's what
I'm making my own coffee from now on.
There.
But again, I mean, DOT has the final say.
Right. Okay, so anyway, our apologies, this was a last minute issue. You've been very good about addressing our concerns, coming back and responding to them. So that's the way of the world at this point, so the floor is yours.
So I don't know that you need it. I mean, you haven't amended the plan. I have not. I mean, I think that's we're disturbed the plan. I didn't want to give something half of that. That's what we do. I don't think we need to make this something.
No, any questions, concerns? I believe that at every step of the way, this has been, as I told you, a model presentation. So,
Basically, but, age, process. Yeah.
seeing nothing, then I would make a motion to, I am. Hello. Yes.
Right, so. What are the options?
I had one comment. So we discussed that any further development on the site would require a zone change by that time. I just wanted that. It's a big site.
Yep.
And our understanding is that there won't be any further development unless there's a zone change by the town council.
Correct. Yep, and that's been important Okay, so I'll make that motion. That's Fred Massey, and may I have a second? Mike Gerhardt, and all in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Good luck with the DOT. I hope that's not the same group that's dealing with the bridges into Barrington. We are going to, the historic and cultural resources element of the comprehensive plan that was sent to you earlier. We're going to handle that at our November meeting, hopefully, which will not be as filled as this one is. In the meantime, though, I would ask you to look at that very carefully because we can use that as a template for the comprehensive plan. This is, essentially we're reworking the comprehensive plan. So this being the first element, understanding how that is going to be set up would be very important for future elements. It may be that by November we have yet another one to look at, which is even better. If the schedule fills up, the agenda fills up for the November meeting, I would want to do a special meeting. This is crucial to not only the town's future, but our functioning as a planning board. I mean, this is kind of what I was talking about with the problems with zoning in the past. There have been a lot of bad decisions made. There have been variances granted that create these odd little setups. We saw this in the first item. And this isn't a chance to really clean up the town in terms of sound planning. And there will always be these times when we have discretion. And by the way, that was well argued. Your point.
That first element is changing comprehensive plan.
Well, the beauty is that we have someone working with us to actually do the writing, and that was onerous, to say the least, before Matt. That's how it's introduced, with a vision statement that would tie it together. So yeah, it is a little bit backwards. We're looking at the elements before we look at the assumption is that that'll be there.
As I review it. No, I think even.
At the same time, I think there are specifics within, particular areas that we want to highlight. That, we're protecting these, and here's what they are. These are the elements within.
Another thing, consideration, you're saying.
Right. So we'll know more about that between now and the end of November, and whether we make that focus of the meeting or a separate one. The December 2021 meeting date.
Would suggest we move it.
Jolly beforehand.
What date would that be? December 19th. Sunday.
December 20th is Monday. So we'll do it December 20th. And if there's not enough on the agenda, we won't have it.
I won't be able to be here that day, so.
Oh, man, I want to be in Hawaii.
We
Okay, we'll be meeting in Hawaii.
We have a board field trip.
We'll be following Brett to
You
Maui.
can't be here, you don't have to say Hawaii. Well, I don't want to make it sound like, I'm just trying to duck off.
We'll be doing the
You know,
hula.
I like to be here.
Zoom image of like you're seeing right on the screen.
Okay,
Are we doing it on?
yeah, we're doing it on the 20th. And the other factor is the meeting calendar, which we sent out the 2022 schedule. You know,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that,
Yeah. Yeah. All right, well, here it is, 9 o'clock, and, nothing good happens after 9 o'clock, I gotta tell you. It's the 4th, so it would be the 22nd. Our next meeting. This is, no, but we're talking about our next meeting. Yeah, it's the 22nd. Okay. Oh, Brett's gonna be in Samoa. Doing a tour of the South Pacific. Where's Brett? All right, could I have a motion to adjourn? Jim Patterson, motion to adjourn,